Hello, we're live with episode 2.
All right.
So this one, I guess, would be for Epilepsy Awareness Month, which
Mm-hmm.
is, yeah, this is crazy. Me and Alec were talking, and we were just talking about how this month is going to be really busy, but also good because there's going to be lots of information shared and lots of awareness and just so much to talk about.
Oh, it's crazy. And the nice thing too is that it's like obviously we have so many things that we're doing just with the podcast for this month just to help raise awareness. But
Right.
even if you go online and check out social media, there are so many advocates that are doing their thing, like wearing
Yes.
purple, they're whatever, like they're just kind of helping raise awareness in whatever way possible, which is so cool to see. Like that to me is like
Yeah.
the
You
best, the
didn't tell me to
best.
wear purple, and you're wearing purple.
You are welcome.
Okay, I got a purple bracelet,
That makes up
so
for it. It's good. It's good.
there we go,
There you
there we
go.
go. Okay,
Nice, nice.
that that counts. And so, interesting fact today,
Mm,
at my staff meeting, there was a little, TV set up with Cedar First Aid, and I
yes.
was
So
super pumped
cool.
about, yeah, super pumped about that because I know earlier we were talking about too, and my aunt actually she commented on our YouTube first episode because she's an EA as well, and she's like would love to try and get this into the school system, and I'm like, yes, like this would be
Yes.
so beneficial, and not just in like, because I'm in a middle school, which is grade 6 to 8, but like even elementary or high school, like high school is super important, I think, too. It's like you're
Yes.
at an age where you understand. And like you said, you were diagnosed in your teens. So,
Yep.
like, that's like you're in high school at that time.
Yep.
So it's just super awesome to see that that's being spread and that's being talked about. So I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Honestly, I like anytime that anything epilepsy related is brought into the school system, whether that be through education for staff members, faculty, or if it's
Mhm.
actually for the students themselves, it is just it's so remarkable to see because uh, I mean, from what I remember, that didn't happen when I was growing up.
Yeah,
So it was like even more like kind of just being in the dark with epilepsy, like you're not going to
100%.
learn any more about it. You don't know what to do, but
Yes.
like this kind of stuff
Yes.
is just super cool to see and just in whatever magnitude possible. I absolutely love it. So when you sent me that picture from your school,
Yeah.
I was so happy. So
This is like zooming in,
oh,
like,
I
look what's
loved
up
it.
on our staff meeting.
Loved it. Loved it.
And yeah, so speaking of that, seizure
Hmm.
first aid, there's so many people that I feel like even last year during Epilepsy Awareness Month, there was people that are like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And this year there's still people being like, "Oh, I didn't know that." But our audience is growing too, right? So there's new people, fresh faces coming in and educating themselves on seizure first aid and everything else. So,
Hmm.
we kind of discussed about what we would kind of use as our seizure first aid, right? Like,
Yeah.
so stay safe and side.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the three S's we would go to
Yep.
for seizure first aid, right? So, I mean, let's elaborate a little bit on it. Obviously,
Sure. Yep.
stay with the person, and safe, make sure they're safe. So I think that's a tricky part where a lot of people don't know, like, okay, stay safe, make sure they're safe. How do we make sure they're safe when they're having a seizure? So it's kind of like there's people saying too that you can't restrain them, which like I get. So it's just kind of making sure, like, if they have like tight clothing, right, or
Yes.
something, like
Yes.
anything's around them, like move it away
Yep. Another
from
thing
their
would
body.
obviously be if they have if it is a tonic clonic and they are convulsing, you want to try to protect their head however they can, however you can. So if you are able to even put your palm of your hand underneath their foreheads, anything, if it's
Hmm.
a piece of clothing, something to kind of limit any kind of damage, which
Yes.
is ultimately that's really a huge factor into trying to keep that person safe.
Yes,
Um,
100%.
so
And I just assumed Like, while I was talking about, seizure first aid just now, I just assumed tonic-clonic, which I shouldn't because there's so
But
many other seizures out there.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So that's just kind of what meant came to my mind right away
Mhm.
because I mean, that's the most common I have and absent seizures. So when I tell Mario, he knows what to do now. But restraining is kind of a tricky one to do because
Yes.
it's like I say don't restrain, or that's what I try and like spread awareness on is like don't restrain. But it's like you kind of like I don't know how to explain it. Like don't hold them, but like
Mhm.
just kind of make sure they're in a safe spot.
Exactly. Yeah,
But then that's
just
where the side comes in too. Just make sure they're on their side.
yeah, and there are going to be some incidents where, depending on how they are placed during a seizure, turning them on their side might not be possible if they
Hmm.
are kind of if their arms are whatever it might be. So obviously do whatever you can to try to get them on their side, but you don't obviously you want to make sure that you are doing everything in your power to make sure that when they come out of it, they're going to hopefully avoid any bumps and bruises and
Yeah,
everything else. So
exactly.
yeah, no restraints, nothing like that. But
Do
make
not
sure.
put anything in their
Oh
mouth.
my gosh. Oh, I feel
That's
like
a huge one.
yes, yes. Oh my gosh. I
They're gonna swallow their tongue, and it's like, okay, let's
no,
just
no.
relax.
Yeah. That's almost like a perfect segue into um stigmas that we
Yes,
could talk about because
yes.
throughout the course of this month, obviously there is plenty of people that, as I said, are advocating for epilepsy awareness and just
Mhm.
talking about seizure disorders in general. But epilepsy as a whole, for decades and decades and decades, has this cloud of stigma surrounding it.
Yep.
And obviously, swallowing your tongue, putting like a wooden spoon in your mouth, like those things, like it's please
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Just like just
We gotta keep our airway open, guys. Like,
yes.
that's just the most important thing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that means that's another reason is that's how why putting us on our side is so important too, right? It's just because it helps open the
Exactly.
airway
Exactly.
and and yeah, so plain and simple, do not put anything in our mouths.
Nothing. Nothing. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure, to go back to stigmas, I hear it quite often, or I have heard it quite often. There has nothing to do with being possessed. The last I checked, I'm not possessed. So
Same, same.
you've checked in on that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have. Okay, yeah. So I think we're okay.
I think so
Um,
too.
but yeah, there's oh my gosh, there's so many, and I swear we could probably pull up like a list of them.
Yeah.
But really, the biggest thing, in my opinion, and I can probably even speak on your behalf as well here too. The biggest thing as far as breaking stigmas with like surrounding epilepsy is to
Mhm.
plain and simply talk about seizures, talk about
Yes.
epilepsy,
Yeah,
talk about your
exactly.
journey, that kind of stuff. And but do it obviously if you know kind of how to approach it, what you're talking about. But
And if
just
you're comfortable too, right? Like there's some
exactly.
people where I get DMs or comments and they're like, I'm in the same situation as you, but I don't know how to start, you know, sharing. And it's like, I was you at like one point in my life where it was like, I
Yeah,
want to hide it. I don't want to talk about it. And I think we chatted about this too once where it was like, just start small, and once you get more comfortable, like the
sure.
more open you were going to get, the more comfortable you're going to get, the more people you're going to talk to and relate to, and it's just going to open so many doors. So a huge step in the right direction, right, is just starting small. I mean, in my opinion, what do you think?
No, I totally agree. Like, even if you don't go public with it and you just start a small journal for yourself, and it's
Yes.
you can kind of vent and have that just for yourself, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be your seizure kind of journal, but basically how you're feeling, what's your mental, like what's your like what are you going through emotionally, and like all the
Yes.
things that follow your journey with epilepsy. You can keep them to yourself if you don't want to go public with them, but as you
Right.
said, start small. Like, you
Yes.
don't have to jump in with 2 feet. You can
Exactly.
do that later on if you want. So
Yes,
yeah,
totally, 100%.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's just been lots, I feel like, jumping into like DMs and comments and stuff. There's been so many people that I feel like I've already connected with. And what day is
Hmm.
it? It's March 4th.
It's
It's like
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
4 days into March, and we're already making so much
so
progress.
much. Yeah,
And we're gonna have some people that we're gonna have interviewed too, which I'm
yeah.
super pumped about.
Yeah, I'm actually currently
And
working on some stuff locally to hopefully get some landmarks
nice.
lit up purple.
That's
So
awesome.
we'll see
Yo,
what we can kind
that's
of get
right.
going, and
Last
we're kind
year
of working on it.
when Yeah, that's awesome. Last year we were living here in BC in Coquitlam, and I remember seeing like purple being lit up in Vancouver at like different
Hmm.
landmarks. So I'm hoping that happens today. And actually, I forgot to tell you this. I saw a TikTok that somebody was like, "Can someone tell me why there's purple lights going on in downtown Vancouver?" And I immediately commented,
I can tell you,
maybe it's because it's Epilepsy Awareness Month." I
yes,
mean, that might not be the reason, but I'm just like, I have to comment that, and I'm
yeah,
going to.
yeah, nice, nice,
So, I mean, that's a step in the right direction, but I hope to see more because I will definitely be going and checking those out.
100%, 100%.
Because I kind of live in a tri city, right? Like, I kind of just live a little bit outside Vancouver, but like in Vancouver, obviously, I hope there's going to be some purple lights, but hopefully around in my area too. So, I mean, that's something I have to learn to advocate for too, and I don't even really know where to start in
You
that
know what?
sense.
I honestly do think though that it is very almost like similar to that of starting your um, online presence when you're telling your story. It's almost like a snowball effect. So
Yeah.
if you build connections with, say for example, if it is in your area, whoever is listening to this, and you want to actually try to get maybe your city hall, your town hall, water tower, whatever it is, to be lit
Mhm.
up purple, reach out to them. I mean, the worst they say is no.
Yeah,
But
true.
if you build some great rapport, some great relationships with them, and maybe they do it one year, the next year it's a simple email or a phone call. Just check in with them, see if they'd be willing to do it again. And you never know;
Yeah.
these things can really start to multiply, and hopefully, it just starts to spread like wildfire. Because that's really ultimately, again, another way that we can raise awareness and break
Yes.
stigmas. And yeah,
Yes, 100%. And even wearing purple, even though I didn't get the memo,
where
I mean, it's
sorry,
okay.
sorry.
I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you this time. It's okay.
Okay. Okay. So I guess one of the things we can also talk about for the course of this month is, what do you think are some of the things that just like the average person, whether you're a patient or you're a loved one, whatever, what do you
Mhm.
think the average person can do to help raise awareness for epilepsy for the month of March?
Well, obviously we're purple, and we touched about that already.
Hmm.
And I mean, if you're comfortable and if you're like super passionate, which I hope people are out there, is like organize a fundraiser. And personally, I've never done that, so that's like a huge goal for me,
Yeah.
is to do something along those lines. And I actually last year, I forgot to mention this too. Last year, I don't know if you remember, I bought like a bulk load of purple ribbons, like
Hmm.
purple little epilepsy awareness ribbons,
Yep.
and I handed those out to the public last year. And there were some people that were like, "Oh no," because they thought I was asking for donations, but I wasn't comfortable with that yet. So I'm like, "No, I'm just spreading awareness, and I'm handing them out.
Yeah.
So please, it's March, like it's Epilepsy Awareness Month, like I would really appreciate if you wore it." And there were some people that were super receptive and were like, "Oh, I'm gonna put it on right now, let's take a picture." And I'm like, "Yes, that's awesome." So like even trying to tie small things like that
Anything,
into like, oh, like put a little box at like your local, drugstore down the street. Maybe put a donation in to grab a ribbon, like poppies, like something
anything.
like that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And you're totally right. Like, obviously, if you're trying to organize an actual event, some of them can be pretty they can seem almost overwhelming at times if you're trying to
Right.
host something with, hundreds of people, and, um, my wife and I we talked about it in the previous, in the first episode of Brainstormers, and we have done that, a few times, and they were so gratifying just to actually do it. They
Yes.
do take a lot, though. It is a lot of work that goes into them, and you don't always have to go that route, and you can do smaller things that will always help out as well, and like you're mentioning,
Yes.
handing out purple ribbons, wearing purple, like, just, like,
Yes.
small things like that are super easy for anyone to do,
Is
and
it
it
too
really
cold to do a car wash? Is it too cold to do a car wash?
BC, where you are, probably not. Ontario, it's like it'll be like today, it was, like, 15 degrees or something, and then
Oh,
I
wow.
and I think, like, tomorrow or, like, 2 days from now, it's, like, -1, so, like, car washes are kinda, like, mm,
Well, it did snow today actually, so everyone's
really?
freaking out. Yeah, it did. So
Wow.
so maybe not March 5th. Tomorrow we'll do a car wash. Maybe at the end of
There
the
you go.
month, maybe near the
Nice.
very end,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
power through, do a car wash.
but,
You
you know,
mentioned
we
lemonade stand too, didn't
yeah,
you?
yeah,
Ye
so this is something that I know I've talked to you personally about is, lemonade stands, and we really like, I grew up doing, like, random lemonade or, like, juice stands as a
Right?
kid, like,
Yes.
with nothing, like, you'd get, like, $1 out of it, and it was, like, the
Yeah.
best thing in the world,
Yes.
um, but, like, I think it would be super cool just to, like the concept of having, like, a lemonade stand and proceeds going towards whatever your desired foundation is. We both have ties to Epilepsy Canada,
Mhm.
but, I mean, obviously, whoever's listening to this, whatever your foundation, that you wanna be affiliated with or help it with, those kind of things, like, just the concept of running one and telling the person who's stopping by this lemonade stand that your money's going towards epilepsy research or epilepsy awareness, that is
Yes.
huge. It's huge.
Yes, and
So
even, like, walks, like, I've seen
anything.
people, like,
Yes.
hold the walks or runs or whatever. Yeah, there's
Mhm.
just so much. Like, if you really think about it, you can turn anything into a fundraiser. So
Absolutely.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just as
So
simple as, like, even small whatever you can afford, even if they're small donations, like, just
yes.
simple things like that, they really, really do go a long way,
Yeah.
as far as what kind of the average person or really almost anyone can do to help out this month.
Yeah.
So we were talking obviously about like smaller things that you can do, like obviously lemonade stands and wearing
Mhm.
purple, like anything to raise awareness to help out. Is there anything that like you like another thing that you'd recommend, something that you've done? Like,
Yes, yes, and I totally forgot about this until just now when we were talking about it, is back when we got married in 2021, I said it actually wasn't my idea, it was Mario's idea, which I thought that was amazing. As like, what are they called? Party favors or like,
oh
is
yeah,
that
yeah,
what
wedding
is that
favors, yeah, yeah.
wedding favors? Okay, yeah. We were like, let's do a donation on behalf of each guest to
Oh,
Epilepsy
cool.
Canada. So I was like, yes, I love that idea. So what we did was we got like little cards with each of our guests' name on it, and then we just put a memo on the back and we set it on their plate or whatever, and we just said on behalf of your wedding favor, we are making a donation to Epilepsy Canada for epilepsy to fund research for epilepsy
Oh,
awareness. and
I love that. I love
and
that.
we got so many, yeah, like so many people were just like, that's an amazing idea, that's great. And honestly, it's like, what other thing would we want to do? Like after he mentioned that, my sister mentioned it too, and I was like, that's what Mario said. So it's just so cool, like, and so like I wouldn't want to give them a gift. Like, this is just so much better and so
Yeah.
much more like heartwarming and meaningful.
Well,
And
especially the fact that it means so much to both you and Mario. Like that's
yes,
oh man,
yes,
that's super cool.
yeah,
So yeah, so you
and
can do things like that. Like it doesn't have to be these elaborative like events or like so if it is just something like a wedding favor or birthday parties, like
yes,
anything, like just
yeah,
anything big or small, like they really do go a long way to help out whatever your respective organization that you'd like to donate to. Because again, like you mentioned, like all of your guests, like they would have all somehow, regardless of whatever the donation amount was, they would have known like
yes,
this connection, this affiliation with Epilepsy Canada, which
yes.
is super. That is so cool.
Yeah, and we even like actually I shouldn't take credit. My best friend Taylor did the whole like little cards and design, which I love her for, but she even added like Epilepsy Canada's logo on it, which
Oh,
was
I love that.
awesome.
Love
Yeah,
that.
I was like, "Oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much." But yeah, that was a huge part of our wedding and I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool.
I, actually, it's funny because Mario's aunt I was telling her about the podcast. She called yesterday and we chatted a little bit and I told her about it and she's like, "Is there anything I can do?"
Nice.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much you can do, but like I don't know what you want to do. Like can I just list you off a couple things and you can
Yeah.
just pick one?"
Yeah.
And just pick one. But she did just personally, just willingly wanted to make a donation. Like, she's like, "Is that
Oh,
the
that's so
same?"
nice.
I know. She was like, "Is that the same kind of concept you were doing for the 1 in 100?" And I was like, "Yeah, like it's still affiliated
Yeah. Yeah.
with epilepsy awareness and Epilepsy Canada and just everything." So it's just so cool to see people who want to get involved, like without me even kind of pursuing the conversation or just, so it's so cool. So we have somebody that's like trying to help out with a donation,
Oh
which is
man,
super cool.
that's
Just like willingly, like you don't want a ribbon, I'll give you a ribbon. Like
yeah,
I'll
like
give you something. I'll give you a bracelet for your donation. But yeah, it's just
oh,
so
that's so
cool.
nice.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
really warmed
amazing.
my heart. Forgot to tell you that, but I'm telling you
That's
now.
amazing. Well, and something like we kind of just briefly touched on it earlier was how some people kind of ease in their way to telling their stories.
Mhm.
Again, whether you be a patient or a loved one, if you're a spouse, if you're a parent with connections to epilepsy, um, just telling your story is just something that can really help out quite a bit.
Yeah.
Um, well before I had or Britain and I had our first event, we were having meetings with Epilepsy Canada, trying to figure out what we were going to do. And Gary Collins, the president of Epilepsy Canada, had just said, "Whatever you do, just tell your story because it will hopefully inspire others to do so."
Mhm.
And that has stayed with me for over 4 years because it was one of those things where it it's almost inspiring to me to want to tell it more in
Yes.
hopes that people will want to tell their story
Of
and
course.
come
Of
out of their
course.
yeah, like, just however they wanna tell it, but
Even if
yeah,
they're like personal growth too, I think
anything. Yeah,
that's what really hit me is like, okay, I'm seeing all these people now on social media sharing, like maybe that will give me a little bit of a boost of confidence to accept my diagnosis and just to grow and just learn more about it, because I think the more I hit it, the less educated I was about it because I didn't want to know about anything. I just wanted to pretend it wasn't a part of my life. But even like that quote that Gary said to you, like it's the one thing I thought of too is just personal growth and how you can grow into the person we are today just by advocating for our epilepsy. And then that just follows through to everything through your journey of life, right?
I
Like
couldn't agree more.
family,
Yeah,
like it's just everything. Yeah.
absolutely.
You get
So
taught so much.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So for you, like, why do you think that raising awareness or telling your personal stories would be so important? Like, why do you think that is like such like a catalyst to kind of really raising awareness by just telling our stories?
Totally. I think for me at least, like sharing my story, it just gets people talking and it gets people just collaborating and being like, oh, like, did you know this about, oh, it March is Epilepsy Awareness Month? Like, I went to my neurologist appointment the other day and I brought those ribbons and I
Yes,
handed, yeah,
yes.
and I handed them out and I said to my neurologist, like, here's an envelope of ribbons. You can give them out to the epilepsy clinic and to the staff. And then when I was checking, I'm going to say checking out, I was just making my next appointment. They're like, oh, I had no idea that March is Epilepsy Awareness Month. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. The smallest things just kind of spark conversation and you learn. So just simple things like even, yeah, like talking about it and just getting other people to talk, asking questions, being open to just whatever they're asking. Like, yeah, there's just so much. Like, I don't even know that I could talk about this the whole podcast,
Yeah.
like, like I could talk about this and keep going and keep going. I just think like, I think about 10-year-old me and like
Yeah.
thinking about how looking into the future, I'm 30. This is what I'm doing now. This is crazy. And like, I never thought I would be here doing this, but like a 10-year-old person, like kid in school who has epilepsy and doesn't want to talk about it. And same thing. It's like, oh, I feel for you. Like, just know that you're not alone. Like, just making people know that they're not the only one out there suffering, battling, and just there's so many people, there's a community out there that want to help you and just want to raise awareness for you and
Mhm.
educate for you on behalf of you if you're not comfortable sharing, like uh I don't even, yeah, I could go on and on. Did I answer your question?
No, that was perfect. Like, I think that's the whole point of the podcast is like you can just ramble on however you want kind of thing, which is like in a the greatest way possible. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but I think, yeah, like telling for me, telling my personal story was so therapeutic in just kind of because as you mentioned, like just 10-year-old you, like you didn't envision where you're going to be right now. Kind of
Right.
like honestly, 7 years ago, there was no way I was going to kind of have Graeber's epilepsy and do
Hmm.
events. Like I wasn't ready for that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little bit more open with my diagnosis, but I wasn't to the point where I was going fully public with it.
Right.
Um, so that has been such a journey for myself that, and as you mentioned again, like growth, like that's every little bit of epilepsy is kind of somehow intertwined growth in myself,
Yes,
not just as a
100%.
patient, but just as a person.
Yeah.
And it sounds so weird to thank a disability, but in a weird way, I know that I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for epilepsy.
Yes,
So,
yes, 100%. I remember you saying, um, it can be debilitating, but also empowering.
yeah,
And that was like, that's huge
yeah,
because, like you said, like epilepsy isn't y- your whole life, but it definitely makes you who you are in a way where it's like confidence, personal growth, like just a different outlook on life, pretty much.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
it's insane. So I'm so excited for the rest of the month. Like we still got what 30, no, not 30 days, 20, 21 days, 20 something days. Can
Math
you do that? Oh, I can't do the
wasn't
math.
no, it wasn't my strong suit. So, yeah,
Let's just go with 25 because
yeah,
25 plus 4
somewhere
is
around there.
29.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah,
We still got so
yeah.
much to share.
Oh, there's so much.
Yeah.
So for you, like, what has what is telling your story or sharing your story brought you as a person? Like, when you did open up about it, what did that bring to you, kind of thing?
I don't like I shouldn't say I don't know. I do know. It's just I don't know where to start. It's brought me like people, but it's also brought me just like I said, like it's brought me to a place in my life where it's like I want to do more and I want to be a part of funding research to find a cure, and I want to be a part of that community, whereas like you said, like 4 years ago or whatever, I just didn't want to, I was like,
No.
no, I don't want to be involved because I don't want to everybody to know I have epilepsy. But now it's like I want to strive for that. Like I want to be a part of that. And it's just personal growth is probably the number one. People, so many other people online. And it's just I think it's brought me closer to Mario as well, because before it was like
I love that.
he was
I just
scared.
love hearing that. Like,
Yeah, like because obviously it's hard on a spouse, and I'm sure you would know
sure,
that too.
absolutely.
And it can get scary. Like obviously nobody wants to witness a seizure and like go through that, but like the more open I am at least talking about it, the more comfortable he is too. And we
Hmm.
can just work together as a couple and as a team. And he's so supportive too. And like he surprised me with his purple like uniform soccer outfit, which I fucking
Oh
love.
man,
I
that is the
fucking
coolest
love
thing.
that.
I don't know a single soccer player, I don't think, in the world really.
Well, now
Uh,
you do.
but I know Mario and he wears purple, and it's just like, oh man, this is awesome. Like this
Oh,
is
it was amazing. I
yeah.
was just like, this fucking real? Like, did you actually do this? I should like actually think that he wouldn't do something like that, but I'm like, oh, I love that so much. But just getting back to just bringing us closer together, like it's hard as a spouse and as a caregiver, whatever. But if we both can accept it and learn to move forward with it, then it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I really like I think that's probably one of the first times that I've heard that where um you explaining that epilepsy has kind of brought you guys as a couple kind of closer, which is super cool to hear. And I'm sure that does happen for some people. But I don't think enough people are comfortable enough to say that. I can
Yes.
confidently say that about my wife and I, where it's a very, very, very strange situation. I don't know if I've ever actually told you about this, but one of the biggest concerns and worries that I had early on in our relationship was that um, I don't know, like I was already head over heels for this girl,
Oh my god, so
and
cute.
and and but at this point, she had never actually seen me have a tonic-clonic.
Mhm.
And as you could attest to, like they're super scary to witness.
Mhm.
They're violent. And y there's that old saying, like, you never really know how long 30 seconds is until you see
Yes.
a person you love having a seizure.
Yes.
Um, so I did not know how Britt, my wife, was going to react. I didn't know if it was, like, grounds for a breakup because it was too much, but there
Mhm.
was never for me personally, it was never if she couldn't have handled it, I would have never held that over her head because
Right.
it is a lot. It's a lot to take on as a partner, as a caregiver. It's just it can be
Yes.
very traumatic. It's very emotionally draining. But when she witnessed one, we'd been together for about a year actually before she saw my first tonic-clonic, and the way she handled it was like I think better than I could have ever asked for.
Oh,
And
wow.
and
That's
then
amazing.
it was kind of like, "Oh, man," like, yeah, like, I already love this girl, like,
Yes. Yeah, of
I
course.
have to marry her, like, this
You
is
have
kinda
to.
like, this epilepsy kinda brought us together, so it was kind of yeah,
Britt's
so
listening to this and she's like, "Oh, so cute. I have to marry this girl."
or she's cringing right now. Like
Too bad it's happening.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like even just like social connections too, like I said earlier, and what we've talked about too, it's like so many people that I haven't even met and we haven't even like seen in real life. And I've never thought I would be friends with people who have epilepsy because I didn't know
Yes,
anybody who had epilepsy. And here I am today. Like some of my closest friends are people I met through just sharing my story on the online community.
100%. Yeah.
And it's just crazy because even Mario's like, because I'm always like, hey, you know, like Brie, like my California friend, and he's like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, yeah.
that's
So it's like tying into like some like little things like that. That's like, oh, and yeah, so it's just crazy because it's like it's not even Canada, like it's worldwide who people
oh,
I talk
it's
to.
global. It's global
Yeah,
now.
it's
Yeah.
global, exactly, like, there's people in England, there's
Yeah.
people in Scotland, like, it's just crazy,
Yep.
Ireland, like, and
Yep.
there's just so many people that we're going to have on the podcast that
Yes.
I feel like are gonna be so intriguing because, like, everyone's experience is different, and even in different countries, it's different too, so there's just so much that can happen and that can be talked about that I mean, I probably am going to be learning about too. So,
100%. Like, it is true. Like, we have these remarkable people that are that we have in common living in Canada, but we have branched out and have made these incredible connections and friendships with people in various other countries and areas throughout the world that, again, like they're some of the closest people, and I feel like almost understand me a little bit more than
yes.
some people I've known for years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
Um, but because they kind of connect with me when it comes to epilepsy and the struggles that brings as well. So
Yeah. It's
yeah,
just that different connection and like I know like my friends don't take it personally cuz they know you like we need to have that I think. Like at this point it's like we need each other
yeah,
to talk about and to like relate to because if we talk to somebody else like they can understand too, but not on the level that we have. So it's
exactly.
just like at this point in my life, it's like I need you, Alec. Like,
Yeah,
please don't
yeah.
leave me. I need you.
But
Please.
you do, like, you form these relationships, and, like, I find that, like, it's like we've ended conversations where it's just like, "Okay, well, I guess, yeah, like, we'll touch base in a few days," and it's like, we'll end up texting 11 minutes later, and, like, it's just like, "Alright, okay."
I
Like,
know sometimes when I
let's
see that like chat soon, it's like in what, like 10 minutes or
yeah, yeah,
something? Because
yeah,
I'm gonna hear
exactly.
from you.
Yeah, yeah.
There's like a picture, or there's like whatever. Yeah, so it's crazy to look at and just think like I don't know, what's 2024, 2021, 2020 is kind of when I started to open up a little bit. So, like 3 years, it's just look how far I've come in 3 years. Look how far you have come in the last 5 plus years or whatever, like it's crazy. And like
Everything
I
has
said,
changed.
yes, yes. And we are definitely making an impact. I know we are. I'm just gonna gloat about that a little bit. We are making an impact and we're gonna
I really
continue
hope we are.
to
Yeah.
make yeah, and all the awareness, like, oh, I'm just so excited. I can't wait. There's gonna be so many people we're gonna interview, so much information we're gonna spread, like awareness and yeah, like
I
like
guess
I'm
this is probably, like, a rhetorical question because you sort of already answered it, but, like, so you mentioned obviously, well, we both, like, we have these amazing connections with people in the epilepsy community, but do you think you would have ever had these connections or these relationships with these people, had you not put your story out to the public? Or
absolutely not.
no? No,
What about you?
not a chance.
Yeah,
I have some of my absolute closest friends like you, like, I like,
thanks.
it's but no, but it's true, like,
I know.
we would have never, likely have never kind of crossed paths had
Exactly.
we not
Yep.
kind of come a little bit out of our comfort zone and
Yeah.
just told our stories and
Yeah, like, even, like, just how I got into spreading awareness was reaching out and making connections with Epilepsy Canada, and then that brought you into the picture,
yeah,
and then just sharing more and more about it, like, people reaching out to me, and then us making friendships with other people. It's like, "Holy shit, like, is this actually happening?" Like, I'm actually making friends with people who have epilepsy and that understand me. Like, is this real life? Because it
yeah.
doesn't seem like this would actually happen in the real world. Like,
Oh, it's
the
so cool.
online yeah, the online community is just so remarkable in so many ways.
Oh, I
I
couldn't
could
agree more.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just amazing. So, with that being said, I think episode 2 is here and done unless you wanna add anything else?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Yeah, we just again, the support that you guys have given us from our first episode was remarkable.
Yeah,
We can't thank you all enough. This is it means the world to Vanessa and I to kind of have brainstormers up and running to talk about our lives living with epilepsy and hopefully connect with you guys in whatever
mhm,
magnitude we can. If you guys can relate to some of the stories that we tell, and when we have guests on, if you can relate to them.
yeah,
So if you can, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe. If you're following us on like an audio only kind of campaign, we are also on Spotify.
yes.
So comment on there as well too. And please like feel free to like share this with anyone who you think would benefit from hearing the podcast. But
Yeah,
um,
100%. Like,
yeah,
subscribe, and comment.
yeah, we have
Love your support, guys.
so much more in the pipeline, and we will yeah, we will talk to you all soon.
Yes, and we're out.